Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dallas Live. I am your host, Dr. RC, and the number to call is 469 795 8580. Today, our featured guest is Bill Patti. He is a longtime radio and TV personality, college professor, and our topic today is called Presenting Your New Voice slash Speech Communication Skills for the 21st Century. Bill, welcome to the program.
Hello, doctor. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Before we get right to it, I want to tell our audience we had a small conversation between us before we started the show, and he said that I have a terrible nasal voice, and he is very irritated by my voice, and he'd want to tune me out rather than listen to me. So I would like to thank all my audience for putting up with my nasal voice for the last 6 months or so. Well, Bill, welcome, and now thank you for telling this. And now tell our audience, what is your background in communication?
Hey, wait a minute. I think you took me out of context.
No, I didn't. This is a fact.
Well, anyway, now that we've started that way, the fact of the matter is, I have a long career in radio and television as an announcer and in many other capacities. And also, I was a college professor for about 15 years teaching radio and television courses. So I combine those two skills, announcing and college, became your voice professor. And that's what I am. Yourvoiceprofessor.com is my website. And I teach people voice speech communication skills. As I suggested, you should have maybe a couple of lessons.
Well, I am, I for one, as a matter of fact, I want to tell you a story, and also to our audience. Many years ago, there was a radio talk show host approached me I'm a scientist by training, pharmaceutical scientist, and he said that you should come on the show. But as soon as I started talking, he pretty much rejected my me coming on the show. I asked him, so what's the problem? Well, you have an accent. Perhaps the accent was not the problem. Perhaps my
Yes.
irritating nasal voice was his problem.
I think he was being very polite.
Absolutely. So he said, well, you have an accent. Many of my, he blamed the American audience. They are very lazy. They're not going to put up with the time to try to figure out what you are saying. So he blamed them instead of blaming me. So now I wish he had blamed me, because then I would have taken a voice course. So
Yes.
anyway, later on, I went on and took a voice lesson, and the guys were trying to correct my accent, and they were not trying to correct my nasal voice at all. So that was the problem.
Yes, the fact of the matter is, and I hope we get some calls to confirm what I hear, that you do have a very nasal voice. Your accent is not unpleasant. It's very pleasant actually, and I understand just about everything you say without any effort. So that's a good thing. It's not the accent that's the problem here in the United States, is that people can't understand what you're saying, perhaps with an accent or with some other speech problem you have. So in your case, I think it's more the nasality than it is the accent.
All right. During the course of today's talk show, we will try to, pinpoint exactly what I should do about it. And of course, the first thing I'm going to do, as I said right now, I will take the course and see how that goes. And this time, we finally, after 50 years of me speaking the wrong way, finally somebody has figured it out. Hey, listen, it's not your accent; it's your nasality. Is that correct?
Nasality, yes.
Yes.
And as we discussed earlier, there are three ways to talk. You can talk through your nose, as you do, and you hear that a lot with operators. In the old days, long ago, they would say, "Number, please," and they would be pushing all the air through their nose.
Right.
The other way, which is incorrect, is through your throat. Now, Don Knotts talks like this to Andy. Andy, right here in his throat. Again, you get no volume because you can't put any air through your throat or your nose. So the proper way is the way I'm speaking now, through my diaphragm, the sheet of muscle around the midsection of my body. I get the power there where I can really project a great sound to people that has resonance to it. They will enjoy listening to my voice and learn from my message.
Very good. You know what? I am going to consciously make an effort to talk through my diaphragm. Maybe this is my first lesson. Now, there seems to be a significant increase in communication, because now we have the internet, texting, Twitter, cell phone, Skype, Facebook, and in spite of all this, there is an exponential increase in the chatting that is going on. You are saying that we are actually do not communicate as well as we used to do about 30 years ago. Why is that? What's happening?
Do you remember, Doctor, when people spoke at night around the dinner table? Do you still do that with your family?
Yes,
I don't.
we do it.
You do?
Well,
Okay.
here's the problem though. When we do it, we are actually not talking because everyone has an iPad or iPhone. They are
Yes,
texting on it.
yes. Isn't that true? And it's so sad. And I was just talking on my radio show today about the checkout line at the supermarket. People can't even take a minute off their smartphone to, to finish the purchase or talk to the cashier. It's so important whatever they're saying to their friends, neighbors, relatives. It's not that important. Please, I'm standing in line in the 10 and under line. Please go through it quickly so I can finish what I have to do. But it's a rude situation today. We've developed this propensity to just look at that phone all the time, particularly young people. So young people have developed no skills to speak
Right.
as we developed years ago.
Hmm. So let's get right to it. You are talking about three things. You know that will help. Help with people's life. For example, um, three distinct ways it can help you. How you improve your speech. Number one is money, love, and confidence. Tell our
Right.
audience what do you mean by this.
We're going to make more money. That's what everybody wants to do, is make a lot of money, right?
Yes.
Because it gives you a better lifestyle. It gives you more material things that you want. How do we do that? We communicate better. We're able to communicate with our boss, with our relatives, with our friends, with our girlfriends, with our boyfriends. We are going to have better looking children because we found a better looking woman who appreciates someone who can make a complete sentence. Believe me, women, men, all appreciate someone who can speak properly. This will always be a skill we're going to need. Regardless of our wonderful computer skills, the fact of the matter is, sooner or later, you're going to face a boss who's going to have you seated in a chair, and you have to tell him why you're the person for the job or why you want that promotion. If you do it incorrectly, you will be left behind. Do it correctly, you will make more money. Also, you'll find true love. Yes, you're going to find that beautiful woman, that great looking guy. They're going to want to be with someone who can speak well. Also, we're going to develop personal confidence. That's what we need to be a successful person, to walk in the room and to take over that room with our charm, with our speech, with our personality, not the fact that we do this all the time.
That is absolutely true. The confidence will also bring money and love. Yeah, I understand that. Now, let me ask you this: did you speak like this starting at your early age?
Well, I have an interesting story. I'll tell you very quickly. I actually wanted to be a radio television announcer from the age of 10. And this was before my voice ever changed. I still had a high voice. I have recordings of myself trying to be an announcer when my voice hadn't even changed yet. So this was my goal my entire life, to do what I'm doing. It's a wonderful thing to have that goal in your mind and to be so focused on what you want to do throughout your entire life. I have done it, I've succeeded, and I'm still helping people speak better because it's important.
Okay, so now, according to you, it's important for both men and women. Now, women, uh, they also have the same problem like us, for like men.
Absolutely. And, women can have nasally voices and can talk through their throats. And they have many, many other problems that come along with having a high pitched voice. It makes it a little bit less pleasant to listen to. If they learn to control that voice, they can literally wrap men around their fingers with the voice on the telephone. I'm dating now, as probably you are, doctor. I've been divorced now 4 years. The first thing a woman will hear, a potential date, is my voice.
Correct.
I'm already to first base with my voice. Now, how am I going to get the second, third, and home? Well, that's up to me. But I've gotten to first base. She's going to go out with me because I sound interesting, I sound intelligent, and I sound like I can I can make a complete sentence without messing up or saying the wrong thing. It's all a part of who you are and how you present yourself. Remember, we have 4 to 8 seconds only 4 to 8 seconds to make that first impression on people, including females or males if we're dating. If we make a lousy first impression right away, we're out of the game.
You know, that is pretty amazing because I never even got to the first base. Because as soon as I leave a message, okay, and I never get a call back from any of them, man, now that tells me exactly what you are saying is correct. Now, if they
Yes.
listen to my voice, they're completely turned off and they say, wait a minute, I'm not going to return this guy's call. You know what? I need your help more than ever now.
I think it's true. And I'm
Okay.
glad that you have taken the first step, which is realizing you have a problem and then doing something about it. Most people think, well, I talk well enough. I don't have to be a great speaker. Yes, you do. If you want to excel in your life, make more money, find true love, develop confidence, this is what will help you. It's not brain surgery. No need to visit a doctor, get Botox treatments. It's something you can do yourself in a very short period of time.
You know, something else comes to my mind because after I was listening to you, there are a few people I met who sound exactly like you. A nice voice, all clear, no nasal, no throat voice, and it was just perfect. Um, is that can it be for some people? Is it natural? I mean,
Yes.
they don't have to work at it.
Yes. Yes. There are people born with great voices. I'm not saying there aren't. And I was not one of those people. I had to develop my voice. There's nobody in my family that's in show business. Most of the people, my father and his brother, had awful voices, very irritating voices they were born with. The fact of the matter is, we're born with a vocal fold up here that is a certain length. The longer your vocal fold, the deeper your voice. The shorter, the higher your voice. So there's certain things with genetics that are involved. However, no matter what you sound like, you can improve your voice significantly in a short period of time with the proper training.
Okay, very good. So the other thing that you are absolutely right. You also talked about it a couple of times. You know, the first impression over the phone is strictly your voice, nothing else.
That's
And
right.
first impression, even when you meet them in person, is also your voice because they look
Right.
at you. Yeah, well, you look good. Now you open your mouth and everything falls apart.
It's all done.
Okay, it's
Yes.
all done. That means it's really critical for anyone. You know, except some people who are naturally gifted with a good voice. Other than those people, vast majority of them have to go through some kind of a training, like what I'm going to go through. Uh, well, let's get to a couple of other points here. No, most people say, I until I started the show, until people starting to review my tapes, and I thought I was talking pretty good, smooth and silk. Well, maybe it's smooth and silk, but it's very irritating. Okay, and why a listener hire you to teach them to do something that they think they already know how to speak? So most of them are thinking like that. How do you convince those guys?
Well, you have to be a good salesman because the fact is, most people do not want to do this type of thing. They're very frightened of speaking. Going to the dentist and speaking in front of an audience are the two things people fear most, more than death,
More than
believe it or not. So, to ask someone to learn how to speak properly, that takes a certain kind of person who actually enjoys the challenge of improving their life, improving themselves as a person, and that's a rare person indeed. There's not too many people who were willing to do it, and I do have to sell them on it.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you are hearing to Bill Patti. He is a college professor and a voice coach. Bill, I got another question for you. Where were you born, and how did you sound at the early part of your life?
Well, I was born in Rochester, New York, which is in upstate New York, and up in upstate New York, everyone talks through their nose. They talk like this: I'm from Rochester, New York. And that is irritating to me now when I go home to Rochester and I listen to these people and I say, I couldn't have sounded like that, but all my relatives sound like that. So I'm very used to it. But I got over that. I was just so focused on being an announcer that I simply studied and worked hard to develop my voice and to make it sound like it was from nowhere and everywhere. That's what announcers do. You never look at television and say, oh, that gentleman sounds like he's from Texas or he's from Boston. No, you don't know where they're from because they specifically are trained to speak like they're from the middle of the country, which is Peoria, Illinois. No
Peoria.
accent.
Correct, Peoria, Illinois. I heard about that. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Dallas Live. I am trying to project through my diaphragm. I don't know how well it is working out for me, but he is going to tell me after we come back whether my projection is actually working. And the number to call is 469-795-8580. And you are listening to our featured guest, Bill Patti, and we will be right back. Bill, please stay on the line.
Thank you.
For your eyes only can see me through the night. For your eyes only, I never need to hide. You can see so much in me that's new. I never felt till I looked at you. For your eyes only for you. You see what no one else can see. And now I'm breaking free for your eyes only for you. The love I know you needed me. Fantasy you freed me. Only for you. Only for you. For your eyes only, the nights are never cold. You really know me, that's all I need to know. Maybe I'm an open book because I know you're mine. But you don't need to read between the lines. For your eyes only.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dallas Live. I am your host, Dr. RC, and the number to call is 469-795-8580. You are listening to our featured guest, Bill Patti. He is a college professor for voice coach, and the subject matter of today's discussion is presenting your new voice/speech communication skills for the 21st century. Now, Bill, welcome back to our second segment.
Thank you.
All right, now is there any improvement? I'm working hard at it, even though I haven't taken the course. So you may say, well, you must take the course now.
All right, we're going to do a little exercise with you
All
right
right.
now, Doctor.
Okay,
This is
let's.
very important because for you, it's about finding out where your diaphragm is so you can develop the skill to speak through your diaphragm and get more power in your voice. We're going to do something that I do with a lot of my students, and also it's done, of course, on my 2 CD set, which is available for sale at yourvoiceprofessor.com. We're
Okay,
going to
can you
teach you
repeat?
how to talk like Santa Claus.
Can you repeat? Can you repeat one more time your
Yes.
website, and also how much does it cost?
It costs $60. That's for shipping and handling included in the United States. Again, that's a 2 CD set, 100 minutes of great information and exercises like we're doing here, all narrated by myself in a professional recording studio. And that is at yourvoiceprofessor.com. All the information there. You can purchase it online. Now, we're going to teach you how to be Santa today. Why? Because you're going to learn exactly how to find that diaphragm and how to feel what it feels like when the air is being pushed through that diaphragm. So I'm going to ask you to just say, like me, ho, ho, ho. See how my body is bouncing as I say that? Ho, ho, ho. You can feel and see my body bouncing. You try it.
Ha ha ha. No.
Got to be a lot more than that, doctor.
Oh.
Down here. Ho, ho, ho.
Ha ha ha.
There you go. I see it moving.
Okay.
You feel it?
Yes, I can see the.
All right, do it again.
Ha
Ho,
ha
ho,
ha
ho.
ha.
That's a very weak Santa. We need you to get down lower than that. Can you do it lower in a lower pitch?
Say that again. You say it again.
A lower pitch, like ho ho ho.
Ha
The Jolly
ha
Green Giant.
ha
That's
ha
it.
ha ha.
Okay, are you pushing any air? Do you feel that?
I feel that. Yes.
All right. So that is the spot. This strip of muscle across the midsection of your body is the diaphragm. That's the area where the voice actually begins the journey. The air begins the journey that travels up through your esophagus, your trachea, pharynx, right through the vocal folds up here, and then out your mouth and is delivered to the audience.
I
That's how
see.
you get real power in your voice, as I'm getting right now. If you're talking up here in your nose, there's absolutely nothing going on down below or up in this area. It's all being pushed into your nose area, and you can only push. I'm pushing as hard as I can, and that's as loud as I can get. But if I do it down here in my diaphragm, now I can push all that power, all of this sound out of my mouth, but I'm not screaming. I'm screaming now, but here I'm projecting. This is all projection. I can fill a whole room with my voice without ever damaging my vocal folds.
Ah.
Did you learn anything?
Yes, I learned. Can I go ahead and repeat this? I mean, looks like my own ho 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 is irritating to me myself.
It's a little it's a little weak. Yes,
Yes.
it's a weak ho.
Th-
You've heard Santa, right?
yeah, I heard Sandra. He sounds pretty good. I
He
mean, I have
sounds
seen him
great.
in the
Yeah.
movies, and it's a totally different voice.
It's a totally different ho ho ho. So
Yes.
we need to get you to learn how you can control your voice to make it go way down here. You know, sometimes they have those announcers on television that do commercials like this. Tonight at 8 on NBC, Days of Our Lives, because he's using less air up here. He's only pushing a little bit of air up here, and that's how he gets that sound down here. Or he's selling a used car, and he's pushing a lot of air way up here. That's how you get a different delivery by just putting different air and different pressure to come out of your mouth. It takes practice.
So I now I'm having a lot more respect for movie actors because
Yes.
apparently they have to do all this.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Better, a little better. That's a
Uh,
little better.
so okay, that means I just need to go ahead and start my training.
You
Okay.
need to get trained. Yes.
All right. Now let me ask you this thing. One of the other things that you are talking about from your right up here is mumbling and talking too fast. Now I have been accused of mumbling and talking too fast. Are they serious? I believe they are serious problems, aren't they?
Very serious. And you actually are not that bad. I think your voice is the issue as far as the nose. The mumbling and the speed is not that bad. I've heard a lot worse, and I think you can learn to slow down. All you have to do is start thinking about slowing your delivery down. Slow down, doctor. Say it more slowly. Take more pauses. It's okay. You've got plenty of time. There's no hurry. This is the way you speak correctly and clearly is if you take your time, take the pause, let people drink in and absorb what information you're giving them.
You know,
There, I took a pause right there. That's your little breath mark. Everybody says, "Oh, now I got what he's saying." Oh, yes. Instead of I want to talk, talk, talk. I got so much information in my brain. I want to get it out. No, slow down.
you are absolutely right. I have been accused of interrupting people while they are talking. That may come as as a host, but I'm not sure. I don't know how you handle your guests, and I have been accused of sometimes talking way too fast. That was another one, and mumbling. Some of my last couple of portions of a word trails off, and they
Yes.
don't hear exactly what I said. And of course, the irritating voice that I have makes it much worse, and they tune me off. Most of the time, they go to sleep because
Yes.
it's better for them to go to sleep than to listen what I'm talking. I more than my audience, I need the course.
Well, you're not alone. I was just at a lecture recently. Again, there were two gentlemen from another country, and there were literally people sleeping. I mean, actually sleeping in the back row. It was early in the morning, but they actually put them to sleep because they couldn't understand what they were saying, and the sound of their voice just simply wasn't provocative enough for people to really sit up and say, I want to hear what he has to say. I want that message. So this is really critical to people who speak in public, and there's literally millions of them who speak in public for lectures, conventions, all kinds of seminars, all kinds of situations. You don't have to be a professional to always be called upon to give your expertise on a subject. So you have to learn how to go up there and take that audience and make it your audience. Make them be with you to go with everything you're saying. And if they're falling asleep, what I do is I get down off the podium and I'll walk up to a sleeping person in the front row at 7:30 in the morning and I'll ask them if they need a cup of coffee because they're sleeping during my lecture. I will do that and they will wake up and everyone will laugh. And you know what? Now I've got the audience with me. These are little tricks you can do. You have to pull these people in with you. You can't just give up and let them win and go to sleep on you. You also have to study them as they come in the room. What kind of people are coming to my little lecture or my talk this morning? Are they old? Are they young? Are they on their smartphones? Well, no smartphones when I'm talking. You put that smartphone down, I'll stop the speech and I'll ask you to put it away. That's the kind of speaker I am. I demand your respect when I'm talking.
Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Bill Patti. The number to call 469-795-8580. If you call within the next 30 minutes, you will get a free 10-minute speech analysis. Tell our
That's right.
audience about it.
Actually, the number to call, my number for the business, yourvoiceprofessor.com, is 407-797-3134. 407-797-3134. You notice how I said that number, Doctor?
Twice.
Did you pay attention?
Yes, I
I said
did.
it twice, and how did I say it?
You split them in 3 and 3 and 4.
That's right. I said it differently. The first time, 797-3134, then 797-3134.
Right.
Now I've given people something to grab onto. This is a thing with voicemail, too. People speed through voicemail, and you can't understand their phone number.
Correct.
This is so irritating, and it's epidemic. I can play back a voicemail for 10 minutes. I still don't know their phone number. It's so frustrating. So slow down. You know your number. I don't know your number. Say it 2 times, 3 times. Make sure I understand. But now if you call me at 407-797-3134, I will give you a free 10-minute voice analysis. I will analyze your problems as I did with the doctor. I will tell you what we can do to solve them, and hopefully you'll sign up for a class.
Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, the number to call is 407-797-3134. That number again is 407-797-3134.
And yourvoiceprofessor.com, the address, everything is there.
Yeah, yourvoiceprofessor.com. All right. Excellent. Now, let's get to the nitty gritty of this whole speech analysis and improving your speech. You said that there are 6 goals that we need to achieve. All right. So, let's start with the goal number 1. What is goal number 1?
Vocal health. It's very important we take care of this, what people call vocal cords. They're actually vocal folds. That's a mucous membrane. Doctor, what are you drinking there?
I am drinking Diet Snapple.
No good.
Why is that? Why is it not good?
You must drink only water.
Ah,
Your mucous membranes right here in your vocal folds are like an engine with oil. Oil lubricates the engine. Water lubricates the mucous membrane here, and everything else can be a problem, particularly caffeine. Don't have coffee, tea, any of that. That dries your body out. You want water in your system. Only water will lubricate, and that will keep you to the point where you're not irritated. You know where your voice starts hurting because you've been using it, overusing it? And a lot of people overuse their voice to the point where they have to actually have surgery because they develop nodules on their vocal folds and many other problems. Singers in particular now, American Idol singers, we all watch on television. Well, they send them on the road and they work them to death, and they don't give their voice a chance to rest. You actually have to rest your voice if you use it that heavily, or you will damage it permanently, as Bill Clinton has done.
Hmm.
Now he has a permanently raspy voice because he didn't stop talking, and he still doesn't stop, because that will damage your and will change your vocal folds. Now, they're there for life if you take care of them. That's part of vocal health. Air conditioning, you worry about. Other things like allergies, colds, fumes, all can affect your vocal folds and your voice and affect the way you sound. Be very careful with your voice.
So you are saying that water is the best, and
That's the best.
what I
Absolutely.
am drinking here is, you are saying, it has 99.9% water.
Where does it say that on Snapple?
Well, it says, it doesn't say.
I guarantee it's not 99% water. It is not.
Well, no.
It's no, because the fact is, and milk isn't it? Dairy products are the worst
Oh,
because they clog up your vocal folds and you'll have frogs in your throat, all kinds of problems with any dairy product. Just water. That's what you should be using. Bottled water.
just pure water. You know
Yes,
what? Like me, there are millions of people abusing their throat. Then.
that's right. Absolutely. And that's why we have this epidemic of people with throat problems who are having surgery, laser surgery now more than ever because they are overusing their voice. And that certainly is something that can affect your health.
Okay, very good. So the number one goal is vocal vocal health,
Correct.
and allergy, fumes, dust, and not
Yes,
drinking water are
that's
primary causes. Okay, now let's see what's goal number two.
breathing, your
Okay.
favorite topic.
Yes.
Breathing through your diaphragm. We've talked about the other ways you can breathe through your nose and throat. Incorrect. Through your diaphragm, the only way to get power in your voice. Opera singers, major singers who can project so loud, you think, how can they do that? Because they have learned how to project from that diaphragm where they can get power in their voice, get the maximum amount of air, and push it out toward the audience.
Okay, so now this is the most exciting part then, because um, now did that ho 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 ho, oh my goodness, that Santa Claus voice that I'm
Yes.
still working on, is that part of the breathing exercise, or is there any other breathing
Actually,
exercise?
the Santa Claus sounds more like an elf, but we're going to work it up to Santa. It is part of the breathing.
Yeah.
It's also something about your voice. I should be able to hear it in a deeper resonant sound than what I'm getting out of it right now. We're going to work hard on this because you need a lot of work on it to change totally the way you're speaking. And I think it can be done. You can change the level, pitch, tone of how you speak. You can be way down here, you can be way up here, but there is an area that is your normal area, your normal pitch range to talk where you should normally be because you don't want to damage your voice, but you have a lot of range in your voice, so you should be able to get down to ho 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 if you're pushing the right way.
Okay, now is there a breathing exercise before starting to talk? Like ho ho ho. My goodness. Is there a
You're still doing it. You know what you're doing? You're pushing it right here in the throat. Ho ho ho.
right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you're
how
not
do I
doing it
change it?
down in the diaphragm. Otherwise, you would get that power.
Yeah,
Hoo,
correct.
hoo, hoo. See, it's coming from hoo, hoo. I see it bouncing right here. Bounce,
Ha
bounce,
ha
bounce.
ha ha
I don't
ha
see a bounce.
ha. Okay, it's still coming out of my throat. I
Yes,
can
it's
feel
still,
it.
yeah, it's you've been doing this for, like you said, 50 years. So it's so long, you don't know how to do it any other way. You're going
That's
to have to change the way you do everything as far as breathing goes.
okay. Very good. We will get to that after we get to the class.
Okay,
So I already did that exercise, right? I mean, you at least try to point out to me how I should, I have to feel my diaphragm by doing this, and then, and perhaps
right.
in the
Well, what
CD.
we'll do is basically when we do that ho ho ho, you're actually supposed to be. I didn't want to stand you up because we're on radio here, but basically you stand up and then you bend at a 90-degree angle.
Oh,
So feeling that, and you're bouncing it off the floor at you, ho ho, and you're getting that feeling here, that bouncing feeling that you're going to know exactly where the air is supposed to emanate from. It's
uh-huh.
supposed to be here, not up here.
Okay, very good. So now, is this exercise, breathing exercise, can our audience do while they are listening to your CD? Because usually when they are listening to
Absolutely.
the CD, they are sitting in a car, or they
Well,
should not be in a
you can
car.
still do it. In a sitting position, I can do every exercise. It's just always better as a speaker to be standing.
Okay.
You'll learn that in the class that speaking should be standing. That because you're going to get the maximum airflow when you're in a vertical position as opposed to sitting, where you're kind of crunched down and it's more difficult to get a lot of air. So standing is best. If you were doing a radio show, I would suggest you stand up.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Dallas Live. I'm your host, Dr. RC. You're also listening to Bill Patti. He is a voice coach expert, college professor, and his topic today is presenting your new voice and speech communication skills for the 21st century.
Say your name again, doctor.
Dr. RC, or Ravi Chandran.
Okay, so you just say Dr. RC.
Yeah, because because of my problem.
But I didn't understand that. When
You
you
didn't.
said that, I wasn't sure what you were saying.
Oh.
So your name is the most important thing that you're selling.
All
So
right,
you should say your
just
full name.
hold your thought. We have to take a quick break here. As
Okay.
soon as we come back, let's go and find out how I should say my name, because
Yes.
I've been
It's
running
the
a
most
show
important thing about you.
exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back. Bill, please stay on the line.
All I wanted was a sweet distraction for an hour or two. Had no intention to do the things we've done. Funny how it always goes with love when you don't look defined. But then we're two of a kind. We move as one. We're an all-time high. We'll change all that's gone before. Doing so much more than falling in love. On an all-time high. We'll take on the world and win. So hold on tight, let the flight begin. I don't want to waste a waking moment. I don't want to sleep. I'm in so strong and so deep, and so are you. In my time, I've said these words before, but now I realize my heart was telling me lies. For you, they're true. We're an all-time high. We'll change all that's gone before. Doing so much more than falling in love.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dallas Live. I am your host, Dr. RC. The number, okay, there we go. Now let's get back to, let me finish this and then we will fix this. The number to call is 469 795 8580. That is 469 795 8580. All right, now there is so many things wrong with this show. Finally, we have figured it out. Number one, our learned guest here says that he doesn't know what the hell my name is, because I don't know how. I'm not even saying it correctly. Number one. Number two, my name sounds like those guys who are leaving their telephone numbers on the voice message.
Yeah.
He is listening to them for. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, he said that these guys who are listening, they're leaving their voice messages. You cannot figure out. That has happened to me. What number they are leaving, nobody knows. Now, similarly, now I have come to the conclusion my audience doesn't even know my name. because if Bill Paddy doesn't know what my name is after going through this, my audience have no clue that I got a name here. All right,
Here's
now
what they
that's
do.
another
Look,
problem.
you know what you need here, Dr. RC, and now I realize it was RC you were trying to say, is Ravi Chandran, right?
Ravi Chandran, yes.
Okay. So here's what I would do. You would say, you come out of that last beautiful Rita Coolidge song, you say, "Hey, there's Rita Coolidge on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Now let's get back to more interesting conversation with Dr. Ravi Chandran." You see, now you got it all. You have an announcer introduce you, and he says your name perfectly. And then you say, "Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. It's Dr. RC. I call myself Dr. RC because that's short for Ravi Chandra." That's it. It's perfect. Now we've actually sold who you are, and you got an announcer opening things up for you. It's great.
Oh, okay. I
I'll
thought
send you my
I'm
I'll
the
send you my rates.
I thought I was the announcer. Apparently, I need an announcer to the announcer.
Yeah, in other words, you have somebody introduce your show.
That's a good point. It's
Yeah,
always good.
and you use your whole name,
Yes,
and then you just, you'd say, "Hi, it's Dr. RC." I always say RC because it's easier for people to say.
right.
But
Okay,
actually, there's nothing wrong with your name, Ravi Chandran. I think that's a really good name. It's short, not many syllables in it, and it's easy to understand if you slow down when you say it. Now, because you know your name, but nobody else does. So
correct.
when you say it, you tend to speed up.
Okay, so I am your host, Dr. Ravi Chandran.
There you go.
Is it,
Now
so
I got it.
you got it.
Yeah.
And I don't even have to say Dr. RC then.
No, no, you don't, because Dr. RC, it gets mumbled and lost. I didn't know what you were saying. I still right there. I wasn't quite sure, but now I know it's Dr. RC. But what does that mean, Dr. RC? If I'm a first-time listener, I don't know what the heck I'm listening to. I just turned the dial.
Ah, so in other words, in this particular business,
You never hear Rush Limbaugh say, "This is RL."
well, Rush Limbaugh is already very well known.
Yeah, because he says his name.
He
Oh,
says
the
his name.
thing, the first thing they told me when I started in radio, mention your name more and more and more. They just kept telling me, "Say your name, say your name, say your name." People on radio do not hear what you're selling to them. This is a well-known fact. If you're in advertising, it takes 11 impressions for you to get the message from the commercial you just played. You
Right.
have to hear it 11 times before you'll even get it into your brain,
Wow.
much less your name. So they have to really know that it's Ravi Chandran. Ravi Chandran. That's the way you should be. Like they do a game show. They
Ah,
do a game show with the guy's name and they stretch it out because they want you to hear who it is. And it's important. Your name is the most important thing you're selling. People want, oh, it's Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil. They shortened their names because they didn't want people to have to go through the last name. And you're trying to do that, shorten it, but maybe Dr. Ravi would be good.
there you go, Dr.
Yeah,
Ravi,
Dr. Ravi is better. Like Dr. Oz, easy to say.
Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil,
Yeah, Dr.
Dr.
Ravi.
Ravi.
You might be, on Oprah here very soon. Never know.
Well, very good. So now let's get to the item number 3, goal number 3, projection. Tell us about this.
Right. So we talked about your breathing situation, and the whole idea is to be able to project your voice. What do I mean by that? You're like a ventriloquist. A ventriloquist can throw or project his voice without moving his lips, but he's doing the same process by pushing that air out and not moving the lips and pushing it past his mouth and out toward the wall in front of him. So when you're sitting in a room right now, you should be able to talk toward the wall, talk toward that wall in front of you, and hear the bounce. I hear it as I speak. It's bouncing the sound back at me. Now I know I'm really projecting well because I can hear it bounce back. So the whole idea is to actually be filling the room with your voice. Anyone in the room without a microphone can hear you.
Now,
That's
now,
what you need to do.
now the ventriloquist, he doesn't move his mouth. His mouth, he has a small opening between the lips, but you don't
Yes.
hear him move the mouth. Or
He still manages to do it. Yeah.
how
But he's
does
got to
he?
project it out. He
How
still
does
has
he
to
do
do
it
that.
like that? Because he's talking, it's not moving his mouth. Something.
Pretty
like
good.
that.
That was good.
Yeah, I actually I practiced for ventriloquism. I don't
Did you?
know. Yeah, so I don't know whether I can talk like that without moving my mouth. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Bill Patti. He is going to be talking to us about projection. My goodness. But I'm
This
talking
is
out of my
good.
throat.
I'm enjoying this.
I am talking out of my throat. So it's, I have not practiced ventriloquism in many years.
Yeah.
But I think when you heard that part of my voice, was it nasal?
No,
It was not. So at least I
that's
need to
not.
talk like a ventriloquist to begin with,
You pushed it down into your throat.
to push
Now
it
you
down to
need to
my
push
throat.
it down into your get that diaphragm air. That's
Ah,
next.
okay. So that's good. So what is resonance?
Resonance is quality. And before the show, we talked about that Stradivarius violin that recently was stolen up in Milwaukee, and it was worth $5 million. It was made in Italy in 1715. Can you imagine? 300-year-old violin that's worth $5 million. Why? Because of the woods it was made with, because of the quality, the craftsmanship. All of this makes this particular violin so special. The sound that emanates from it is so special. The resonance. It's the same thing with your voice. If you work on making that voice special, whatever voice you were born with, you can make your resonance, the quality of your voice, pleasant enough that people want to hear whatever it is you're selling, whatever your message is. That's the whole goal.
Very good. Okay, and next one, pitch and tone. Now it looks like we need to take another break. Believe it or not, our time is coming to an end. We are coming to the last segment. We will take a short 1 minute break for the commercial, which we will be playing music for you and I, and then we will be coming right back.
Okay.
We have all the time in the world, time enough for life to unfold all the precious things love has in store. We have all the love in the world. If that's all we have, you will find we need nothing more. Every step of the way will find us with the cares of the world far behind us. We have all the time in the world just for love.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dallas Live. I am your host, Dr. Ravi, and you are also listening to Bill Patti, a professor and a voice coach. Bill, welcome back to our last segment.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Boy, I like that name. That is really good.
All right, very good. That alone is worth some significant
That was
money
it.
for
That
you.
was the move. Now you understand show business. It's the first thing they did with Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz. How can we shorten their name so people can hang on to it quickly and easily? We just did it with you.
All right, very good. Now, we were on the break. We were listening to Louis Armstrong.
Right.
Now, how is he coming projecting his voice through his diaphragm?
No,
No.
he's going strictly through his throat.
Oh,
And there are people with voices that gravelly that sound like that. I think when he talked, he even sounded that way. So it was just an unusual situation, but he may have damaged his throat
with
years before. I suspect that if you look his history up, you will find that he did damage his throat in some way. There was another gentleman who had an unusual voice. Oh, Eddie Rochester Anderson. I don't know if you know him.
I
He
don't
was with Jack Benny. Jack Benny had a sidekick, a black sidekick. His name was Rochester. And he talked like Louis Armstrong. But the real reason he talked that way was when he was 13 years old, he used to sell newspapers at the beach and he screamed all day about the newspaper. He damaged his vocal folds, and that was a permanent damage. And for the rest of his life, he sounded the way he did. He got famous because of it, but that's unusual.
Well, let's listen to this guy, see whether this is coming through the diaphragm.
He always runs while others walk.
What about him?
Is that Tom Jones?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. He's definitely talking through his It's, singing through his diaphragm. Singing and speaking are exactly the same thing as far as what you use in your body to make that sound. Exactly the same method is used. So singers are learning the same method, Dr. Robbie, you are learning. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, it is. But his voice, of course, sounds very good.
Yeah, well, he's he has a different voice than you do, and he's not talking through his nose for openers.
Right.
I don't know what your voice is going to sound like once we get rid of that nasal sound. It could sound like James Earl Jones. We don't know. It's a mystery.
Why? You know what? That'll be the day when we find that out. That's a big
Do
day.
they have announcers in India, for example, with gentlemen with deep voices
Oh,
that
of
sound
course they do.
present?
Of course they do.
They do.
And there
Okay.
is a lot of voice coaching.
Yeah.
I am probably an exception to this rule.
No, I would say you're not. I've heard many Indian people who sound like you similar, and I think it's just the way your family spoke and the way the sounds you've heard as a child, and you just picked up that way and started speaking that way.
Okay, so that means your voice is waiting to come out of me, and
You've
you
got
are
a
going
great
to bring.
voice. It could be Walter Cronkite. You never know.
All right, okay, now let's talk about a goal number 5, pitch and tone. Tell us about it.
Pitch and tone, very, very important because as a college professor, I learned that most college professors are usually pretty boring kind of people. So they tend to talk boring. They talk on one note. You can't sing on one note. You can't speak on one note. Okay, everyone, today we're going to have a test. It's going to be very exciting. You'll find this is the way college professors talk. That's why most people sleep during college classes. The fact of the matter is, people talk like this. Hey, how you doing? Glad to see you. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your mother. Up, down, pitch, tone. I can make my voice go up, 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 down, 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 down. I have all of that range that I can use to make my voice come alive. And Dr. Robbie, you have great pitch and tone. I want to make that perfectly clear because I know that at the beginning you were a little bit hurt when I talked about your nasality, but I want you to know you have good pitch and tone.
Now, I was not hurt when you told me I have nasality. I was hurt that I am irritating you.
Not anymore. I feel much better now.
Well, I also like comedy, so I want to diffuse
That's
anything
good.
like this and then go into a positive direction. So I
Yes.
got no problem with that. Okay. Well, there is the last one that I want you to talk about, the articulation and pronunciation of consonants and syllables.
Okay. Say that word again. The first one.
Consonants,
Nope, the first one you said.
articulation,
Okay. It's articulation. Articulation.
articulation.
There you go. The U is important in there, and you just slid over that.
Yeah, that's because
something
I
you have
was not taught properly, and nobody ever listened to me. Actually, came back to me. But by the way, I probably have used the term articulation maybe twice in my life, and
Right.
both times right here.
We've already doubled it.
Okay.
So what you need to do is think about that though in terms of all the words that you're looking at there, and there's a lot of them: pronunciation, consonants, syllables. All of those words have a consonant at the end of them. That can be a real problem because Americans tend to drop syllables and consonants at the ends of words. That's why here in the South where I live, and Dallas too, how you doing? I'm doing great. They never say great or
Great.
doing.
Yeah.
They drop that G and that T. That's very common in the South. So they understand themselves, but outside of the South, they have problems when people say, what did they say? So this is a problem that you don't have. there's something you don't have as a problem. And that's really something to be thankful for. You are starting to say those syllables and consonants at the ends of words so people understand exactly what you're saying when you say, Dr. Robbie here.
You
Boy,
know,
I like that name, by the way.
Dr. Ravi is actually decided to pronounce consonants and syllables and articulation after I spoke to you,
Get
by the
that
way.
U in there. Articulation.
Articulation.
There you are.
Articulation after I spoke to you.
Yes.
In other words, I would be also dropping them off. Remember, I live in Texas for the last 7 years. I've been listening to these guys.
I'll bet you sound like a Texan to me.
Really?
No.
Okay, I don't. That's good. That's good. Very good. Okay, so we have another 5 minutes. So let's go through uh, um, your CDs. There must be a lot to learn. So you can teach them over the phone. I mean, if somebody is, so you are in Florida, correct?
Yes.
So if somebody is somewhere else out there,
Yes.
they can still have a phone training with you.
Yes, absolutely. The fact of the matter is, I'm so in tune now with what people sound like when they're talking to me and how to critique them properly that I actually can listen to you on the phone and actually hear the problems that you are giving me, the problems with your speech. So this is very, very important. And you have to understand that that takes years of training to be able to do that. I can do it on the phone, but I prefer to do it like we're doing it here on Skype, where I can see your mouth and see the mistakes you're making so I can correct them. Like we did with articulation, I can say, don't forget that you and articulation to get that in there because you have to slow down and get every syllable in that word so people understand what you're saying.
So, for example, articulation. Is it articulation or
So it's tick,
RTQQ? Yeah.
articulation. So you
Ah.
have all those different parts of the word that have to be pronounced together properly.
You know what? I was making, whenever a word like this comes up, I was always making the mistake of articulation. Now, that's
Yes,
not the right way to pronounce.
that's incorrect.
Ah.
So it's articulation. You say it together.
Articulation.
There you go.
Articulation.
And that's why, see, you and I on Skype, we're going to solve a lot of these problems quickly. And that's what the beauty is of working, being able to do it in real time, looking at someone. And that Skype is just wonderful for that.
Okay, good, very good. Now, if you speak properly from the diaphragm, projecting your air out and projecting your voice out, do you feel a pain in your stomach
No,
early on?
not at all. No, you don't even think about it. You're not even aware you're doing it anymore. I'm not.
Oh, you know what? I'm
Do
only
it
having
automatically.
a stomach pain because I'm doing it all wrong.
You must be. It's not a painful process.
Okay,
It shouldn't be.
okay.
It should be just a real small push. Push. Every time I say a word, push. I feel that go up, but I don't think about it when I'm talking. But you will hear the difference if you record yourself now, the way you sound, and let's say you take my course in 4 weeks and you listen again, you will hear a huge difference.
You know what? I am recording my this particular show twice a day. Now
Right.
I am now very very aware and conscious of how I speak and how I sound. And my goal is to go ahead and continue this as we will be talking in the next few days because I want my audience to not get irritated and turn the knob off. And that
Exactly.
is my goal. So now there must be millions and millions of people who are in the same situation as I am. Is that correct?
Absolutely. But the problem is getting to those folks and making them understand how important this is to their life, that this is going to change their life 100%, that they are going to better themselves, not only as a person, but as a valuable commodity with their employer, with their wife and family, with themselves, because they're going to feel better as a person, that they have this control of their voice. When you control your voice, you literally control selling products to people, talking to people. You can converse with anybody about anything. You can change your voice for any occasion or situation. It's that kind of power that really makes a big difference in your ability to feel good as a person.
Excellent. So we have another 1 minute left. In this minute, I want you to go ahead and tell where to find and where they can get the two CD set, and also the number for them to call. The first five callers to this number 407 area code, and what they are going to get for it. And then after
Right.
that, we will close the session, and I would like to stay on the line after the session.
Sure. What I want to tell everybody is everything is available at yourvoiceprofessor.com, yourvoiceprofessor.com. You'll see individual classes. Those are done on the phone and also on the internet on Skype. I also have prices, and you can sign up right online for that. I have corporate events where I go and do 3-hour PowerPoint presentations at individuals' businesses for employees, 10, 20 employees at the same time, all learn that 3 hours of basic skills for speaking. That's in selling, in answering the phone. They're going to make your business special. When was the last time you called a business and said, that person knows what they're talking about on the phone? They really were friendly and happy to talk to me. It never happens because these people are largely untrained. And I have my 2 CD set, Presenting You a New Voice, Voice Speech Communication Skills for the 21st Century. It's $60. That is shipping and handling included in the United States. You can order it online. It'll be delivered right to your door in a few days. Yourvoiceprofessor.com, the place to go.
And the number to call is 407-797-3134. That
And if you call me, you'll get a free 10-minute voice analysis.
That's right. That's 407-797-3134. All right, ladies
Good
and
stuff,
gentlemen.
Dr. Robbie. Very good.
All right, very good. We are making progress here already. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to you are listening to Dallas Live, and I am your host, Dr. Ravi, and we will be right back. Bill, please stay on the line.
Yes, sir.